Okay, welcome back to another Geoguessr tips and tricks video, and today I'm actually making a sequel to a tips and tricks video that I've already made, being Mongolia, which I consider my best kind of country. So the first tips and tricks video was mainly about identifying Mongolia and small region guessing parts. This video is about the cities and how to actually nail which city you're in. If you're in a rural Mongolia round, that is the hardest one if you're just on a random western road or whatever. But if you're in a city, this video will 99.9% of the time be able to tell you which city you're in. So let's just get into it. Before we actually figure out which city this is, there's very important things with the Google car. Being if you have the front tent, and if you have little rubber in the little side bars on the truck, and if you have a piece of tape. So, the first big meta, if you have this tent, then that leaves a lot of the country. That pretty much means that this road right here, going from the southeast up to up here, you pretty much are not on that. It completely eliminates those places. If you have rubber here, you're going to be in the western half of the country. I'll leave these I'll leave these little metas up on the screen for probably until the end of this location. And if you don't have them, you're going to be in the east. And this little green piece of tape, I think it can be orange sometimes, that further can be reading as where in the east you are. Because with this tape, you can only be on this road from Ulaanbaatar down this road. You can be up here with these forest cities, or you could be in the far east. Everywhere else in the east would not have this tape. Okay, time to actually get into the city guessing, which I will go a bit faster because there's a lot of cities in this. So, instantly, we see that we're in the east in one of these sections. So rather up here, in here, or the east, the far east. We know we're not here because it's not a pure desert. Here, I can tell you it's not, because it's not forested and mountainous. So we're going to be in this eastern part. Something with this city, which is Choi Belsan, is that you will see a lot of trees. You will see a lot of trees just around the city. You'll see some, like, maybe some small parks and whatnot. There's a lot of trees for it being pretty much in the middle of a desert. We have the tent. We're in the east, and we have the thing. So we're either going to be here in the far east or up here. And I should probably put on moving. We know we're not up here because it's not super green. We do have some vegetation, so we're probably not over here. Well, like the far east. We could still be in these eastern ones. So in these type of rounds, I would say we're in Mongolia or the city called Baran-Urt. Those are the two options. And this is one of the tougher 50-50s I have, because sometimes you just get it wrong. If we look at the cities themselves, Baran-Urt is relatively big. Mongolia is relatively big as well, but not as big. So theoretically, since we're on probably like a main road, we should be able to figure out where we are. Mongolia is usually hillier than Baran-Urt. But in this location, we probably are in Baran-Urt, because I'm pretty sure this town, you can have the tape, but also you don't always have the tape. And it feels a bit more green than a pure desert that Mongolia would be. Okay, third round. We have the tent, we have the rubber, so we are west of Ulaanbaatar. So then we gotta decipher from this. So, the things I look at in the west are big mountain ranges, and instantly. And for this one, well, for most of them, if you don't see a big crucial detail about a city that I will talk about, then look at where the mountains are. So here, if we face north, we have mountains west, and we have them to the south. So the northeast is completely empty, pretty much. That is what Karakoram is. We can see mountains to the west and some to the south. We do have some slight hills around the east but the city itself, you will have the north and the east, for the most part, be completely flat. We have the tent. We're in the east, and we have this. So something else I will add is that for most of the eastern rounds where you see this, you will have this orange shape be on both sides. I've talked about this location in my other video, but we know we're either in the north, this location, or the east. We know we're not here because it's not mountainous forests. It's not super arid. It's here, but it's green. If you only have the tape on the right side when you have this tape, you will be on this road. It might not show up super easy, but you're going to be right around here. That's pretty much guaranteed. Okay, we're in the west. So then we got to look at the mountains. So first thing we notice is that the mountains are not very mountainous. We have a lot of vegetation, though it looks pretty dead. It's not super mountainous, not super green. So we're going to be in one of the northern little zones. We know it's pretty north. We're probably going to be from like Ulaanbaatar to Darkhan. So this is probably going to be the city of Katgal. Just because we're in the west, there's not a lot of very noticeable features about this place that would give it away. So yeah, that's how that is how the city looks. There's not much to identify, but there's a lot to narrow down that city in particular. And if you see that one a lot, you'll wreck. Okay, so we know we're in Mongolia from the car. We're in the east with the tape. So then we gotta choose where we are now. So we do see a lot of mountains. We do see mountains. We're not in a desert, so we know it's not this. Probably not in the east. So we're gonna be in one of the northern ones. Okay, so this Gen 4 Geoguessr, which I didn't talk about, you will only see it in the west. Pretty much Ulaanbaatar and west. And we have these little arid and rocky mountains completely surrounding us. It's not a desert. It's not too far north, not too far west, because the west is completely super mountainous. But we are completely surrounded. But in the south, you can see that it's relatively empty. The mountains are pretty far away. And this city of Tsaansingal describes that perfectly, because to the direct south is water. Okay, so we have this car, which is one you see from the China Road up to Darkhan. We don't see rubber in there, so we know it's not Ulaanbaatar. It's not very mountainous. It's just snowy coverage. Snowy coverage means you're gonna be in Darkhan. And if you don't see snowy coverage with this car, you're gonna be in Erdene. Okay, so we have this car. So we're gonna be from here to here. We're in the desert. So we are gonna be in either the city of Choir, this one, or the one directly at the Chinese border. So what I will say is that this city has very sparse coverage. So this city and the one down at the Chinese border, very sparse coverage. So it's pretty much just the main road. So you could just learn what that is and try to line it up there. This city has a lot more coverage. So this city will be the more bigger towns. And this town, it's not super big. So we're probably going to be in one of the other two. Either this one, which we could honestly just line up, and it doesn't really look like it works too well with this. So we're probably going to be in either this one or Choir. And this lines up pretty decently. So we're probably going to be here. Okay, we're in the west, we can tell, and there is quite a lot of mountains. But to the south, we have an incredible mountain range. We have a very big mountain range. If we see this, we're going to be in the city of Maroon. Because we have a lot of mountains everywhere. But to the south, there's the enormous range. Okay, and then this one, we have the Gen 4 cars, so we know we're in the west. The mountains to our north, we see infrastructure on it. That's important because this type of mountains you see in quite a bit of cities. Since we don't see any very recognizable features behind us, well, I guess we have the writing on this, so that could be an extra thing for knowing this. I didn't even know that. But we have infrastructure on the mountains. So we're gonna be in the city of Ulisai. So we have this card. We already know where to go. So we're gonna be obviously one of this is a pretty big and developed town. That's I'd say. So this is probably gonna be this one. Okay, now this is the biggest one to remember because you see this one quite a bit in cities. So these mountains north, you see a lot of key features on them. Specifically, if you see this little thing, you know what it is. But an even easier way to know this town is if you look to the south and you see the Windows XP background with these little buildings on one of them. That means you will be in the city of Caesarleg, right here. You see this town a decent bit in cities in Mongolia that are not Ulaanbaatar. So yeah, this is a very key one to know. So we have this similar mountains to Caesarleg and Ulisai. So if we look directly to the north, there's a bit of like a valley, and then we see a road going up from here. This is very key in the city of Kovd. Because Kovd, you see similar mountains, but in between the two ranges, you see water. And as we can see, there's probably water there. And then we see a road going up that west, and we see this road going up in the west. If you don't see that, you'll have to recognize the mountains, or you can just know that how it's not Ulisai or not Caesarleg, so you know it's Kovd. Okay, this one, we know it's west. And there are mountains pretty much surrounding us. And there's not too many places where it's far from the city that there's a lot of empty space. So we're going to be the city of Volgi, where mountains completely surround us, pretty much. We know we're in the east, and we have this, where we know we're not in Mongolia. There's a lot of mountains, so we know we're not going to be in here. So that leaves these northern places, like Suk Batar and this town, and then the city directly south of Ulaanbaatar. The city directly south of Ulaanbaatar will be pretty flat, apart from the north, and in the north you will see pretty decent mountains with a lot of black space on it. This is not that, because these are just trees. It's more spread out, and also we have mountains here. Like, if you see this to a lot of this like haze shadows on the mountains like this, you're probably going to be in this town. But if you're not, then you're going to be up here, since we do see a lot of trees. So it leaves the city of Suk Batar and this one. And if you have a lot of mountains, you're going to be in Suk Batar. Okay, so we have this. We don't have the rubber. And we have a lot of winter mountains. So this is pretty much exclusive to this city, right next to Ulaanbaatar. Because if you see a lot of mountains with the winter, this means you're in this town. So we know we're in the west, obviously, but it's very dark, sunset. When it's like this, slash some like darker coverage, we're gonna be all the way down here in the city of Delungsogad. As simple as that. Okay, we're obviously going to be in one of these three towns. It's not, I mean, it's a pretty big town, but it's not super big. So we're not going to be in this one. Well, you could honestly think this one, but honestly, this one also probably is a bit more hilly. But it would be more built up. So we're going to be in either this one or the city of Choir. Now, Choir has much less coverage than this, but this city doesn't have that much coverage either. It's mainly the main roads and some side roads. So if you just look at the grid of the place or the angle of the main roads, then you could try to see which one of these two you're in. And this one lines up much better than Choir. So it's blurred out so we know it's Gen 4, but this is a very built up city. This is the most urban you'll ever see in Mongolia around, and that's Ulaanbaatar. Ulaanbaatar can have the Gen 4 car, or both of the Gen 3 cars. But on the Gen 3 cars, you will always see the rubber. So it's pretty simple. Also, something I forgot to say about Ulaanbaatar is that if you're in a western city and you can't fully recognize it, then you're probably in Ulaanbaatar in an outskirt, or you're right next to it on one of these little roads around the mountain. Okay. For this one, we're in the Gen 4 car. That's obvious. So we know we're going to be in the west. Now, if you look to the north, you see this. You see these kind of what I talked about. Because this town, since it's so close to Ulaanbaatar, you will see the Eastern car or the Gen 4 car, just like Ulaanbaatar. And if you're in the Eastern car, the Eastern Gen 3 car, I should say, it's much easier to identify with, to compare to the other ones, because of obviously the dark colors on the mountains. Honestly, I didn't know this place had Gen 4, but it does. So this round there is a lot of mountains, very detailed mountains. Like look at all the trees on these these mountains. Look at all these random rough patches on the mountains. It's not too south, not too north. It's pretty north though. But in the north, you'll see this little hill here, and this is, you'll always see in the coverage of this town. You'll see the logo on it, or you'll recognize it. The city of Corgo has this has a pretty iconic mountain right here that stands out compared to the rest. And then to the west, it's flat. Well, in between the town and the mountains, at least, since the mountains are pretty far back, it's pretty flat, which is where there's water. And then the east is also flat because that's the road out. So that's to figure out Corgo. Okay, we're in the east with this, so we're gonna be in the far east. So it's not Troy Balsan, we can tell, because there'd be more taller buildings and such. We could be all the way over here, but likely not. We know we're not in Chinggis or Barnert, so rather in this town or this one up here. They both look very similar to this. And the roads around this town, you'll see a lot of nighttime coverage. But this town itself, you'll see more later in the day coverage. This is probably decently late into the day, but it's not super dark. It's not relatively dark yet. So we're probably going to be in this town right here, because also, this road lines up perfectly. We have mountains to the west and the south, pretty much. And it's a pretty built-up town. The east is not very hilly. I mean, not very mountainous up close, but there is still some. So Altai, which to the southwest you'll see the majority of the mountains, Altai is pretty similar to the city of Karkorin, but not as intense. So like, these mountains look big, obviously, but the hills is what we see. But it's pretty much the same thing where to the west and to the south you'll see mountains and hills, but it's not as prominent as Karkorin. Okay, so we know we're in the east with this. It's very deserty. It's very arid. So we're gonna be in Mongolia, or the city of Baranort. And this town, okay, it has slightly redder soil than Baranort, Mongolia, sorry, and it is slightly more hilly. When I say hilly, more like rolling hills, like slightly more red soil, I guess, could be the main tip for that. 5K, wow. Once again, we know we're in the east with this. So the east, down here, or here. And this town, we can already tell we're going to be in this one, or this one. So 1, we can tell by the grid. 2, it's pretty similar time of day, but it is getting pretty dark. But the roads are unpaved. Unpaved roads means you're going to be in this one over to the other one. Once again, we see that. But it's pretty hilly, pretty mountainous, and there is some snow in the distance. So in a car like this, with mountains but not snowy mountains, we will be in the city of Erdene, because it's a pretty big. I think it's the second biggest city in Mongolia. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. It's a pretty big town. So here, we're in the east without this. And it's a prominent city. You'll see a decent bit. This city is Chingiz. And what I will say about getting the location for this is that they recovered this city. Maybe some other parts of Mongolia as well, but this city you can see an entirely new type of Google car. But I don't know if that's truly official, because I've never seen it before. I haven't seen anyone talk about it, but it's a car I've never seen before. So if you see something like that, where it's completely different, just go change Chingiz. I won't show it just in case that it's actually not a real meta. So here, obviously we know we're in the east, the south, or the north. And we know we're not in the east, we know we're in the south, we see a bunch of trees, so we're gonna be in the far north. And we're in the city, obviously. It's not flat, but it's not super mountainous. So, we're probably gonna be in this town. Directly to the north is the Russian border, obviously. But it's not as hilly and such as Sukh-Batarik. Directly to the north, we don't see enormous mountains. Anyways, that's it for the more in-depth version of my Mongolia tips and tricks to know pretty much which city you're in pretty much every time. So that'll be the end of this tips and tricks video, and I'll see y'all next time.